Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something called earned hours. It's kind of like a secret language for manufacturing, a metric that totally transforms how you measure success on the factory floor. So let's get right into it.
So let's start with the question that every single production manager has to wrestle with. How do you really measure productivity? I mean, on the surface, it sounds easy, right? Just count what you made. But what happens when you're making totally different things? Just counting the number of units, yeah, that's not going to give you the real story.
Okay, check this out. Imagine you have two teams. Team A, they build 10 super complex cars. And then you have Team B, who cranked out 1,000 simple toasters. So, who was more productive? See the problem? Just counting items doesn't work at all. It completely misses the value and the effort behind the work. And this is exactly where our hero metric, earned hours, steps in. Seriously, you can think of it like a universal translator for productivity. It doesn't care how long you are on the clock. What it cares about is the value of what you actually produced, measured in the standard time it should have taken to make it. It's a total game changer.
And you know what's great? The math behind it is surprisingly straightforward. It's just 3 simple steps. Step 1, you count up all the good units you produced. No defects allowed. Step 2, you take that number and multiply it by the standard time it's supposed to take to make just one of those units. And voila! Step 3, that final number is your total earned hours. Simple as that.
Now this is what I think is so cool about this metric. It's incredibly flexible. The core idea works across all kinds of different industries. You've got car makers using something called talk time. Then you jump over to the apparel industry and they're using standard allowed minutes, or SAM. The inputs might have different names, but look at the logic. It's always the same. You're taking the actual quantity you produced and multiplying it by a standard time. That's the key.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to be clear on 3 key terms that all work together. First, you have standard hours. Think of this as the goalpost, the benchmark. It's the time it should take to make one unit. Then you have actual hours, which is pretty self-explanatory. That's the real time you spent on the clock. And finally, our star player, earned hours. That's the value of your output. It's the credit you get for all the good stuff you actually finished.
All right, now for the magic. This is where we put it all together into one super powerful efficiency formula. You just take your total earned hours. That's the value of what you made. And you divide it by the actual hours you put in. Multiply by 100, and bam, you've got your efficiency score. It's that clean. Let's make this visual. Take a look at this chart. Let's say you earned 4 hours worth of work. That's your output. But it actually took you 5 hours on the clock to get it done. You can see the actual hours bar is taller than the earned hours bar. Do the math, and that puts your efficiency at 80%. You were working below the standard.
But now, let's flip that scenario. Look at this next chart. Here, you managed to crank out 5 earned hours of value, but you did it at only 4 actual hours. Now the earned hours bar is the one towering over the other, and your efficiency, a fantastic 125%. You absolutely crushed the standard.
And this is so important to understand. Earned hours is way more than just a tool for the shop floor. It has huge strategic value. I mean, look at this. We're talking about everything from cost control and capacity planning to performance evaluation and variance analysis. It really gives the entire business a common language for performance.
So let's talk about where the rubber really meets the road: accounting. This metric is the heart of what's called the labor efficiency variance. Basically, you take the difference between your earned hours and your actual hours, multiply it by the standard labor rate, and you've just translated that time difference directly into dollars and cents. It shows the real, tangible financial impact of your team's efficiency or lack thereof.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like any really powerful tool, this one can be misused. There's a catch. Whenever you tie people's performance, or worse, their pay, directly to a single number, well, human nature kicks in, and things can get complicated. The real challenge isn't just measuring. It's about measuring wisely.
Right, because if you're not careful, people will find ways to game the system. And this table breaks down some of the classic moves. Take time shifting, for example. This is where an employee might log some of their direct production time as indirect work, say cleaning their station. What does that do? It artificially shrinks their actual hours, which makes their efficiency score shoot up. But did they actually produce more? Nope, not at all.
And that laser focus on just one number can create a really dangerous trade-off. This quote here says it all, really. If all you're tracking is a quantitative metric, people are just going to race to hit that number.
They'll produce as much as they can, as fast as they can, and guess what suffers? Quality. You might get a lot of stuff, but it might not be stuff you can actually sell.
So how do you do this right? Well, it all comes down to some really important best practices. You absolutely have to start by establishing standards that are fair and accurate. You need clear communication and training so everyone understands the goal. And maybe most importantly, you need to use a balanced scorecard. Don't just look at efficiency. You have to balance it with other crucial things like quality, safety, and employee morale.
Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question you have to ask yourself. It's not enough to just measure something for the sake of having a number. You have to step back and ask, are we measuring the right thing? Is this metric actually driving real, genuine improvement? Or are we just measuring? That, right there, is the real challenge.